what I'm finding is that we don't lead from our values when we are stressed. We don't lead from our strategy or even from trainings you received. We lead from our nervous system survival programming. And here's the thing about nervous systems, they don't learn through words, they learn through experience. And when your body is under pressure in leadership, it defaults to whatever strategy kept you safe before, even if that strategy is now costing you. So, if you want to lead differently, if you want what I call regulated authority, which is leadership that is grounded, that is sustainable, that doesn't burn you out, you have to start by teaching your nervous system it's safe to be still. Sabrosura Hola, hola. Welcome back to Café con Pam, the bilingual podcast that celebrates the power of our stories, the medicine in our voices, and the magic of reclaiming who we are. I want to tell you about something that happened last week. I had carved out an entire afternoon. Miraculously, I had no meetings. I had deliverables, but within reason, like within that evening, no deliverables, nothing on the calendar. And I had time. I had time to rest. And David was traveling, actually. My partner was traveling. And so I was like chilling. Not that he occupies my time, but when there's another human, you can be like, well, let's hang out. This time, even Thor was like chilling. And you know what happened? Well, within 20 minutes of the open time starting, when I knew that there was that space on my calendar, my chest got tight. I suddenly, quote, remembered 17 things I urgently needed to do. I found myself reorganizing my email folders. I found myself archiving photos I don't need to use. What? My body literally could not handle rest. And one thing I will dare to say is that I'm not alone in this. Because when I share this with my clients, with friends, with colleagues, with peers, especially first-gen Latinas, especially women who watch their parents work multiple jobs, who grew up translating at doctor's appointments while their mama worked a double shift, they all say the same thing. Yep. That's me. I can't sit still. So, today we're going to talk about why your body thinks rest is dangerous. We're going to explore what's actually happening in your nervous system when you try to slow down. And I'm going to give you some really practical EFT practices or tapping practices that can begin retraining your body to know that rest is safe. When I say retraining, is because we want to undo the training that rest is not safe. But here's where it gets really interesting. The same nervous system that panics when you rest is the same nervous system that's running your leadership when things get stressful. So, for those of us navigating Calladita culture, understanding this connection changes everything. If you've ever felt guilty for resting, if you've ever wondered why you can't just relax, or if you've ever noticed that your leadership style completely shifts under pressure, este episodio es para ti. And something I hear often from clients specifically, because I work with a lot of Latina leaders, is that's not me. I run on a high and I just don't need to rest. I wake up and I'm like, go, 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 because insert big city that they're from and or insert heritage country that they're from, and they're like, this is just how we roll. Let's dive in. Let me paint a picture. Talking to all of you who can't rest. You finally have a day off. Maybe even just an afternoon like me. Maybe you've been dreaming about this for weeks. When I get to Sunday, I'm just going to rest. I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to recharge. Maybe finally I will get to that book. Maybe finally I will take the long walk without my phone, whatever that looks like for you. And Sunday comes. and you sit down on the couch and you have your coffee and you, según tú, you get yourself ready to just be. Pero within minutes, one of these things happen. Primero, your brain starts making lists. Wait, did I respond to that email? Oh, maybe I should plan meals for next week because it's Sunday, right? Actually, I should reorganize my closet. It'll only take an hour because, we never underestimate the time things are going to take. Or maybe if you force yourself to actually sit there, perhaps your body may get restless. Your legs may start bouncing. Your chest may feel tight. You may get this weird, anxious energy that makes you want to get up and do something, anything, doing dishes. This is why I think a lot of times Latino households are like clean because we can't rest and we just like get up and clean. I'm overgeneralizing. I know this because I know some of you are thinking, like, no, my parents hoard. That's for another conversation. Maybe going back to the scenario, maybe you get some guilt if you're just sitting there. Maybe the guilt sets in and tells you, "Oh, I shouldn't be sitting here because truly I have so much to do. So, who am I? Who am I to just sit here for 2 hours?" Maybe the guilt comes in to say, "Ay, mi mamá trabajó tanto, she worked so hard, or my dad worked so hard, my parents we're always working. What am I doing just sitting here?" Sounds familiar? So, the invitation for you is to understand that this is not a time management problem. This is not a personality flaw. This is not being type A or high achieving or unable to relax. This is your nervous system treating rest as a threat. Let me say that again. This is your nervous system learning that rest equals danger, or it learned that rest equals danger. And what it's trying to do is protecting you by getting you back into what your body already feels is familiar and can handle, which is action. Now, where does this come from? Well, for first gen Latinas, for those of us who grew up watching our parents work themselves to the bone, rest was not a luxury our families could afford. Rest meant falling behind. Rest meant not making rent. Rest meant someone else getting ahead while we stayed stuck. Our parents didn't sit down at 5 p.m. and unplugged. They worked doubles. They picked up extra shifts. They cleaned houses on the weekend. They sold things at the swap meet. And we all watched that. So our little nervous system back then was taking notes. And here's the thing about nervous systems, they don't learn through words, they learn through experience. They learn through what they witness, they learn through what their body lives. So even though nobody sat you down and said, "Oh, mijita, rest is dangerous," your body learned it anyway because it watched someone you love survive by never stopping. And now, decades later, even when you have the resources, even when you have the time, even when you know intellectually, your brain says, rest is important. You read the books, you follow the pages, you know, your cognitive brain understands the rest is important. Your body still thinks it's not safe. And that is Calladita culture showing up in your nervous system. That cultural conditioning that taught us to stay quiet, to stay small, to stay productive. It's not in your head, it's in your body. This is why mindset doesn't work. Because all of those beliefs are not in your head, they're in your body. And here's where it gets really important for leadership, especially because the same nervous system that can't handle rest is the same nervous system that's running your leadership when you're under pressure. So stay with me. We're going to connect the dots. And the reason why I'm bringing leadership is because a lot of us are leaders. All of us are leaders in our own way. So I've been developing this body of work around leadership styles, specifically how first generation women and Latinas lead differently under pressure. And what I'm finding is that we don't lead from our values when we are stressed. We don't lead from our strategy or even from trainings you received. We lead from our nervous system survival programming. I've been developing this over time because I've been coaching Latinas for 10 years and I've been taking notes. And now we have patterns. So thank you to my ADHD and all my autisms that allow me to recognize patterns. So let me give you an example. I have a client, we're going to call her Sofia. Ella es brillante. She runs a successful business, has a small team. On paper, she got it. She got it figured out. Her business is revenue stable. She's even profitable, we would argue. She has it like, si tú la ves desde afuera, you're like, mírala, she got it. Pero when Sofia and I started talking, when we started working together, she came to me because she had to make a big decision. When it came to her showing up, she would freeze. Not visibly, because she had already worked mindset-wise in all of her external persona. She looked like she was being thoughtful, pero internally she was panicking. She would research for weeks. She would replay the conversation in her head for days after. She would create backup plans for the backup plan. She would often have 17 resources of validation before she could move forward. Now, traditional leadership coaching will call this analysis paralysis. They would tell her, a traditional leadership coach would say, well, you have to be more decisive. You have to trust your gut. You have to take action. Just take action. Just set your mind to it and take action. Pero that misses what is actually happening. What's happening is that Sophia's nervous system learned early on that being wrong was dangerous. As a first-gen daughter, as the first in her family to start a business, as the first in her family to graduate from college, as someone navigating predominantly in white corporate spaces, there was no margin for error. She had to be twice as prepared. She had to have all of the answers ready. So under pressure, her nervous system defaults to this protective strategy. Gather more information. Be more prepared. Don't move until you're absolutely certain. And this leadership style, I call it the over-prepared visionary. I think it's brilliant. It's this over-prepared visionary archetype is what kept Sophia safe. What it has done? Well, it's gotten her incredible results. I mean, look at her. On paper, she checks all the boxes. Pero what's happening long term is exhausting. It slows down her business. It keeps her from the kind of bold, regulated leaderships she is actually capable of. Here's another pattern I see all the time. You're in a meeting, there's tension in the meeting, maybe there's conflict between team members. And without even thinking about it, you step in. You smooth things over. You find the compromise. You make sure everyone feels heard. You are the bridge. You are the translator, not just between languages, but between personalities, between power, between dynamics, between cultures. Externally, people see you as this amazing mediator. You're valued for your ability to navigate complexity. It's often what you hear. But internally, you're tired because you're constantly shape shifting, you're code switching. Not just linguistically, but emotionally, professionally, and even culturally. And over time, you start to lose track of where you end and where everyone else begins. This is what I call the adaptive translator. Y también, this is a competent survival strategy. This kept you safe growing up, navigating between your family's world and the outside world. How many of you walk into your family's house and you're a completely different person? But in leadership, long term, it leads to burnout and this really painful form of invisibility where everyone sees what you do for them, but nobody really sees you. I could go on. We also have the silent stabilizer, the one who holds everything together behind the scenes but never gets recognized. We also have the loyal carrier, the one who stays misaligned in situations way too long because leaving feels like betrayal. We also have the relational anchor, the one who creates all of the physiological safety and carries all of the emotional labor for the team. These are what I'm calling the Calladita Culture leadership styles, and they're not personality types. They're not fixed traits, they're adaptive strategies that show up under pressure. And here's the connection back to rest. The same nervous system that can't handle rest is the same nervous system that defaults to these leadership strategies under stress, because both are protection responses. When your body thinks rest is dangerous, it keeps you in motion, productive motion. Motion that feels safe because it's familiar, because your body knows how to handle it. And when your body is under pressure in leadership, it defaults to whatever strategy kept you safe before, even if that strategy is now costing you. So, if you want to lead differently, if you want what I call regulated authority, which is leadership that is grounded, that is sustainable, that doesn't burn you out, you have to start by teaching your nervous system it's safe to be still. You have to prove to your body that rest is not dangerous. And that's where tapping comes in. Listen, I've been working on this. I'm still working on it, you know? Hay conversaciones que nos enseñaron a callar, y dinero was one of them. Pero here's the truth. Tu dignidad financiera no debería depender de que traduzcas todo para tu mamá, tus tías, tu abuelita o quien sea. Savvy Ladies just made it easier than ever to get financial help en español. Their free helpline means your mama can ask a question without you having to translate shame, confusion, or whatever her comadre told her. Talleres, clases, consejos, todo completamente gratis y con el respeto que nuestras familias merecen. Porque libertad financiera no es lujo, es necesidad. So whether it's you or your mama who's ready to take that first step, go to savvyladies.org. That is SAVVYLADIES.org. Empieza hoy. La dignidad financiera no se pide, se reclama. If you've started making your cafecitos at home to get on with that morning routine and build the habit of saving money, it could be a good strategy. Pero there might be an easier way to save. Did you know that if you open a new savings builder account at BMO, you can earn a $5 reward every month you grow your balance by $200 or more during the first year? Learn more about how BMO can help you grow your savings by visiting bmo.com/save. bmo.com/save. Conditions apply. Accounts provided in the United States by BMO Bank and a member FDIC. So let's get really practical. You may or may not know I'm a certified clinical EFT practitioner. Emotional freedom techniques, or tapping, is also known as tapping. I have advanced certifications and so many different things that allow me to do this work. And I believe tapping is one of the most powerful tools I know for nervous system regulation because it works directly with your body. It works with your thoughts, but we start bottom up. I already have a whole other episode where we talk about bottom up strategy. So it starts with the body and then it moves into the head. Because, you hear me say this all the time. You can say affirmations all day long, like, I deserve rest, rest is productive, rest is necessary. But if your nervous system still associates rest with danger, those affirmations just entran por una y salen por la otra. They won't land. Tapping works because it sends calming signals to your amygdala. Your amygdala is that little gland that exists in your limbic brain and your emotional brain. It's your bodyguard who's always scanning for information. It's always scanning to see if where you're existing in this moment is safe. And while you're acknowledging what's actually happening in your body, when we tap, it's like having a conversation with your nervous system in its own language. So, I'm going to walk you through a tapping sequence right now. Really easy, really simple. You can do this with me. You can come back to this, do it whenever you need it. You can skip forward to it, whatever works. And if you don't resonate with tapping, just breathe. But you know what? Let me give you two sequences. I'm going to give you one for when you're trying to rest and your body's panicking, and one for when you're in a leadership moment and you notice you're defaulting to that survival strategy. So let's start with the check in. On a scale of 0 to 10, you want to ask yourself, how anxious or how restless is my body right now? How anxious or how restless does my body get when I think about rest? Just notice the number. So we're going to start with the setup statement on the side of the hand, and we're going to tap on the side of your hand, and we're going to say 3 times for mind, body, and soul. Even though my body thinks rest is dangerous and I feel anxious when I'm not being productive, I accept this moment. Second time, side of the hand. Even though my body thinks it's dangerous when I choose rest, right here, right now, I am. Still side of the hand, third time. Even though my body feels like a threat or feels whatever feels true to you, when I think about rest, in this moment, I am here. Whew. And then we move to the top of the head. And this is where we acknowledge the truth. It might throw you off a little bit, but we want to acknowledge what is true for us. My body thinks it's dangerous. Eyebrow. If you're watching the video, just follow along. It feels safer to stay busy. Side of the eye. Rest feels like I'm falling behind. Under the eye. Oh, I feel guilty when I'm not producing. Under the nose. My nervous system learned this from watching my parents, from watching whoever. Insert whatever works. Under the mouth. Oh, they couldn't rest, so I learned rest is not safe. Collarbone. And even now, my body still believes that. Under the arm. This is a protection response. Take a breath. Let's keep going. Top of the head. But in this moment, I am safe. Eyebrow. I have resources my parents didn't have. Side of the eye. Rest doesn't mean I'm falling behind. Under the eye. Rest is how I sustained myself. Under the nose. My body can learn that rest is safe. Under the mouth. I can rest and still be worthy. Collarbone. I am teaching my nervous system a new pattern. Under the arm, rest is safe, and I am safe when I am still. Shake it off, take a breath, check in with your body. Maybe give yourself a stretch if you can. Tune into that scale. Check 0 to 10. Where are you now? Most likely, and you want to test it. So I usually test it on the side of the hand. The side of the hand is your small intestine, so it's connected to discernment. And so this is where you want to test it and see how you feel. Is it still pretty high? Is it not so much? And if you need to go back and repeat it, that works. If you notice a drop, that is your nervous system beginning to regulate. You can do this sequence as many times as you need it. You don't have to know what to say. You can just go through the points, and that is more than enough. The more you practice, the more your body learns that it's okay, that rest is not dangerous, that you can be still and nothing bad happens. Now, we're going to move to the second sequence for leadership moments. This is for when you notice you're about to make a decision from survival instead of from your groundedness. When you're about to over prepare or over please or stay in something that you already know is misaligned, but something's pulling you to not betray the team or whoever. So let's say you're about to go into a big meeting or you need to have a difficult conversation. Or maybe you are making a decision and you can feel that familiar anxiety creeping in. First, we want to notice, where is that in your body? Is it in, do you have a tight chest? Do you have your jaw clenched? Are your shoulders up by your ears? Simply notice the body because your body will give you signals before your brain does. So then we start tapping on the side of the hand. And one thing to remember is that whatever it is that you mention, it needs to be true. So it has to be true to you. If it's a tight chest, if it's a lump in the throat, if it's a tight jaw or a clenched jaw or like braced shoulders, whatever it is, make sure you have that clear because it needs to be true to you. So I'm going to call it feeling pressure. In your case, you can call it lump in my throat, tight chest, whatever it is for you. So we start tapping on the side of the hand, even though I'm feeling pressure right now. And my body wants to default to survival. In this moment, I am here, side of the hand. Even though I'm feeling this pressure in my body, I feel it. Oh, my jaw popped. I notice it. In this moment, I'm here. Even though I am noticing where I'm holding the tension or the anxiety or whatever it is, in this moment, I exist. Top of the head. I'm feeling the pressure. Eyebrow. My body is pushing me into protection. Side of the eye. My body wants to over prepare under the eye. My body wants to stay quiet under the nose. My body wants to people please under the mouth. This is how I've stayed safe before. Collarbone. And I honor and witness the strategy that has worked for me. Under the arm. It's gotten me this far. Top of the head. But I don't need to lead from survival anymore. Eyebrow. I can regulate first, then I decide. Set of the eye. I can lead from my values and push fear away. Under the eye. My worth is not tied to my perfect being. I am perfect as I am. Under the nose. I can be visible without feeling in danger. Ooh. Under the mouth. I can set boundaries and release the guilt. Collarbone. My regulated authority is available to me. Under the arm. In this moment, I am safe, I am grounded, and I lead from my values. Take a breath, shake it off. Oh. Tune into your body, notice. Give yourself a quick body scan, and a quick one, a true quick body scan could literally be lowering your gaze and move your eyes from top to bottom, traveling really fast through your body and noticing how you may be a little bit more settled. What we are looking for is 1% more settled, perhaps 1% more spacious, 1% better, whatever that looks like for you. If you need to repeat it, feel free to do it. You don't have to repeat the same sequence. You don't have to know the words again. Once again, this is what a lot of people get hung up on it. You don't. You could pick your favorite point and just go through the points that you remember. That's the other thing people often say, I don't remember all the points. You don't have to. If you remember under the nose, under the mouth, and collarbone, just go through them. It's fine because that is a way for you to bring your body back to center. And when you're able to get yourself 1 to 3 to 5, maybe 20% better, from this place, you can actually make decisions that align with who you are, that align with the truest version of you, not with what your nervous system thinks will keep you safe, because many times that's rooted in fear. Those are your 2 sequences, and you can use them at any moment. You could modify the words to make them fit whatever it is that you're actually experiencing in the moment. Be curious about the whispers that may come. So during both sequences, I do say some positive points. Even though I said we start with the truth, and usually the truth is in a way negative, the second round that we do in both sequences tends to introduce some positive thoughts. Be curious about the whispers that may come as you're saying the positive thoughts. As we're tapping, and you might be under the nose and you may be saying, it is safe for me to show up and be visible. And maybe you're noticing a whisper in your body that may say, no, it's not safe. Notice that and witness it and make a note, because that is what I call shit to tap on. So the whispers give me information so that I can go and make notes of the things that my body is saying. This is something you believe to be true, therefore we need to work on it. What's important is that you don't stop tapping, because what you're doing is you're sending the calming signals to your body while you are acknowledging the truth of whatever it is that's happening. And that's the work. One thing to note is that this is not a one and done practice. This is an ongoing practice. I tap every day. Every time you do it, you are retraining your nervous system. I do this sometimes 3 times a day because I'm having maybe calls that they may be difficult. I may be having to respond to an email that's hard. I tap every time. So even though I've been tapping for 20 years, I'm still tapping all the time, because every time you tap, you're teaching your body that rest is safe. You're teaching your body that regulated leadership is possible. You're teaching your body that it's okay to operate from the truest, most aligned version of you. In this case, you're retraining your body to understand that you can be still, you can be visible, you can be boundaried and whole at the same time. So, my invitation for you, the takeaway that I invite you to take with you, if you've ever wondered why you can't just relax, why you feel guilty every time you're not producing something, why you can't seem to slow down even when you're exhausted, it's not you. It's not that you're type A or high achieving or bad at self care. No. It's that your body learned early that rest is dangerous, that staying busy keeps you safe, that productivity equals worth. And that same programming is running your leadership when you're under pressure. And remember, we are leading all the time. First gens, eldest daughters, youngest eldest, which those of you are everywhere, with your siblings, in your family, in your household, we are always leading. Latinas are leading in conversations, are leading in business, are leading in houses. And you don't lead from your values under stress. You lead from your nervous system survival's playbook. So, for all of us navigating Calladita culture, the playbook was written by generations of people who had to stay silent, stay small, stay productive, just to survive. Pero la parte más poderosa de todo esto is that we have the opportunity to rewrite it. Not by thinking different thoughts, not by trying harder, but by giving our nervous system new experiences, by teaching micro moments that rest is safe, that visibility is safe, that boundaries are safe, that you are safe. And that is regulated leadership. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never defaulting to the survival strategies. It's about having enough awareness to notice when this is happening and enough tools to regulate yourself back to the most grounded version of you. And that's the work I'm doing right now. So I developed this Calladita Culture leadership cohort because we deserve leadership development that actually understands how cultural conditioning and systemic pressures shape our nervous systems. We deserve tools that work with our bodies, not just with our brains. And it is about freaking time that somebody created this. When I was in corporate, when I was living my executive life, I craved this. So, it took me 10 years to build this. So, if you're interested in going deeper and understanding how your specific leadership style shows up under pressure, and learning how to return to regulated authority without self silencing or burnout, I'm going to be opening enrollment for a cohort very soon. You can get on the waitlist at cafeconbam.com/leadership, and you can be the first to know when this launches. But even if you never join that cohort, I am here to show you the tools because I want you to know that your body's response to rest is not a personal failing. It's a learned survival response, and you can teach it. You can always retrain your body to learn something different. So for now, just practice regulation, whether it's through tapping or breath work or meditation or going for a run or walking with your friends, whatever your practice is. Practice noticing when your body panics at the thought of rest. Practice the 90-second regulation reset before you make decisions under pressure. That's the work. Micro moment by micro moment. You are teaching your nervous system that you are safe. So, if this episode resonated with you, please share it with tu hermana who's burning out trying to prove herself. Share with your prima who can never say no. Share with the comadre who's leading a team but feeling invisible. Tag me on Instagram at Café con Pan Podcast. Let me know which tapping sequence you tried if you did. I always love hearing from you, from your messages, from your screenshots, your voice memos. Everything keeps me going, truly, because believe me, talking to a microphone by myself with my dog right here, Thor saying hi, like, it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Of course, if you want to dive deeper into leadership work, get on that waitlist, cafeconpam.com/leadership. I'll send you more resources, tapping sequences, more of this work as we get closer to the cohort launch. Pero mientras, if you're listening to this, as the episode drops, if you're in San Diego, I'm also hosting an event with Las Mamacitas. I'm so excited. It's a dinner and it's called Querida Yo. And we're going to do some visioning exercises. We're going to practice using our voice for rooted in our values and in the truest version of us. It's going to be super fun. It's a night of connection and not just connecting with others, but a connection to the self. So for that one, cafeconpam.com/querida yo. I'm sure it's everywhere. We'll put it in the notes as well. Pero bueno, como siempre, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Thank you so much for listening, for choosing to grow with me, for trusting me with your time and your nervous system and your leadership journey. I don't take any of it for granted, for reals. Te quiero muchísimo. See you next week. Y como siempre, sigue brillando. Café con Pam is created con mucho amor by our small but mighty team. Content production by Nancy Jaimes. Podcast management by Maru Linardi. Social media and marketing by Brenda Figueroa. And me, your host, Pam Covarrubias. To keep the cafecito brewing and the healing flowing, join the Supporters Club for only $5 a month and access early episodes, behind-the-scenes vibes, and exclusive minisodes you won't hear anywhere else. Screenshot this episode and tag me and share what resonated. I love seeing your takeaways. Follow on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let's keep the conversation going with us on social media at Café con Pan Podcast because your voice always matters there. We love being on Instagram and Facebook. Gracias for listening to Café con Pan, a Spread Ideas Move People production. For more episodes, guest info, or resources, visit cafeconpam.com. And if you're healing from Calladita Culture and don't know where to start, you can take the quiz. cafeconpam.com/quiz for Tia Wisdom and cariño just for you.
Sabrosura pa' ti que